Last year's trade deadline wasn't the best. I mean, it wasn't even close to being big. The most important player that was traded was PJ Washington, who helped Dallas Mavericks get to NBA Finals. The biggest name that was traded was probably Dennis Schroeder. The only traded former All-Star was Gordon Hayward, who was way past his prime and retired few months later. This year's trade deadline from one side seems like the one that won't be very entertaining because of new apron rules. But on the other side, we have many teams and players that want to be traded. We have Jimmy Butler, we have Phoenix Suns with Bradley Beal, so those are really nice names. But today I want to focus on top 10 biggest trades of trade deadline in the last decade, so that we can remind ourselves of the best deals done in that period. And we start at number 10 with Nikola Vucevic being traded from Orlando Magic to Chicago Bulls. Bulls received in that deal him and Al-Farouq Aminu. Magic received Wendell Carter Jr., Otto Porter Jr., first-round pick in 2021, which turned out to be Franz Wagner, and first-round pick in 2023, which Magic used to get Jett Howard. After 9 seasons and 2 All-Star selections in Orlando, Vucevic was heading to the Windy City, where he was seen as the offensive weapon and rebounding machine at center the franchise so desperately needed. In his 4 years in Chicago, he has averaged 18.6 points and 10.8 rebounds per game, but the Bulls have been nothing short of disappointment during this time. Highlighted more than anything with the Bulls has been Vucevic's shortcomings as interior defender. Despite the failure of the Bulls, the move sparked a new era in Orlando, as they used one of the picks from the deal on core member of the team, Franz Wagner, and received young, rising center Wendell Carter Jr. in the deal as well. Both are currently one of the most important players in the Magic roster, which is currently top 4 in the East. In 2015 trade deadline, so exactly 10 years ago, Phoenix Suns decided to split up the trio of Goran Dragic, Patrick Beverley and Isaiah Thomas. The last one was sent to Boston Celtics. Along with him, Boston got Jonas Jerebko and Gigi Datome. Suns received Marcus Thornton and 2016 first-round draft pick, which turned out to be Skal Labissière. Pistons also were part of the deal, receiving Tayshaun Prince. It was very under-the-radar deal. No one could foresee that Thomas would be MVP caliber player anytime soon. But it turned out that Danny Ainge again proved everyone else wrong. Thomas was 2-time All-Star, he was All-NBA team selection and finished in top 5 of MVP voting in 2017. He also led the Celtics to 2017 Eastern Conference Finals in spite of battling hip injury and the loss of sister who was murdered during that playoffs. The next year, Celtics did him dirty and traded for Kyrie Irving, but those 2 years, the deal was brilliant. Number 8 on the list belongs to DeMarcus Cousins, being traded from Sacramento Kings to New Orleans Pelicans. Pelicans also got Omri Caspi in that deal, and Kings received Tyreke Evans, Langston Galloway, Buddy Hield and 2 picks in 2017 draft, which turned out to be Zach Collins and Frank Mason III. This was the time when Cousins was the best center in the league. Anthony Davis was still playing power forward, Dwight Howard was already past his prime, Nikola Jokic was playing his just second year in the NBA, and Joel Embiid was a rookie. So trading the best center in the league was a big deal, and Pelicans really hoped to get a big boost. In 2017 they didn't get to the playoffs, but the year later they played really well. Unfortunately, 48 games into the 2018 season, Cousins tore his Achilles tendon, which not only derailed New Orleans championship hopes, but Cousins' career as well. He would have short stints in Golden State, Houston, Los Angeles, Milwaukee and Denver after the injury, but never returned to his former dominant self. Still, in 65 games played for Pelicans, he averaged 25 points per game, 12.7 rebounds, and 5 assists, with 1.6 steals and 1.5 blocks. Amazing numbers. Only Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in the whole NBA history had a season with such numbers. That's how great was Cousins at that time. Number 7 goes to Aaron Gordon, being traded to Denver Nuggets from Orlando Magic. Nuggets also received Gary Clark in that deal and sent RJ Hampton, Gary Harris and 2025 first-round draft pick, which will materialize this year. I know that Gordon was never close to the caliber of a player that Cousins was in his prime, but he was the missing piece in Denver Nuggets championship team puzzle. It all culminated in 2023, when Gordon provided elite defensive play against the likes of LeBron James, Anthony Edwards and Jimmy Butler en route to his and the Nuggets' first ever NBA championship. For the entirety of the playoffs, Gordon averaged 13.3 points and 6 rebounds per game, but his defensive play was the talk of the town as they became NBA champions. For Orlando Magic, it was the same trade deadline when they traded away Nikola Vucevic, so it was a very busy time for them. Number 6 belongs to Marc Gasol and his trade to Toronto Raptors. He was the only one that Raptors received. Grizzlies got Jonas Valanciunas, CJ Miles, Delon Wright and 2024 second round pick. It was 2019 trade deadline and Masai Ujiri pushed all of his remaining chips into the center of the table. Ujiri sent starting center Jonas Valanciunas along with 2 role players and 2024 pick to Memphis, adding Gasol to a lineup that included Kawhi Leonard, Kyle Lowry, Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet. Little did anyone know that bringing Gasol in would be just what the Raptors needed to make their magical championship run later that season. Sure, Leonard was the leader and standout star during that run, but without Gasol's willingness to get physical and to do the little things everyone forgets, they never become NBA champions. In the playoffs, Gasol averaged only 9.4 points, 6.4 rebounds and 1.1 blocks per game to help Toronto capture his first NBA title in team's history, and they needed every single minute of his play to get the job done. Number 5 goes to Andrew Wiggins. In 2020 trade deadline, just few weeks before hiatus in the NBA due to COVID-19, Minnesota Timberwolves decided to part ways with Andrew Wiggins. Warriors received not only Wiggs, but also 2 future picks who turned out to be Jonathan Kuminga and Miles McBride. Wolves got D'Angelo Russell, Jacob Evans and Omari Spellman. Guess who won the trade? The first 2 seasons were up and down, but the Warriors would prove they won the deal come 2022. That season, Wiggins would earn a starting spot in the All-Star game, averaging 17.2 points and 4.5 rebounds per game. More importantly, Wiggins would be monumentally important to the Warriors' championship run later that year, providing elite defensive play in the conference finals and NBA finals mixed with timely shots and all-around impactful play. And Russell? I think you all know his story. He was pushed away from Wolves a couple of years later and stayed for another 2 years in Los Angeles before he was sent back to Brooklyn Nets again. Number 4 is a deal with Tyrese Haliburton and Domantas Sabonis. It's not that often when the deal is so win-win for both teams, and this one was, and still is. Pacers received Haliburton, Buddy Hield and Tristan Thompson. Kings got Sabonis, Justin Holiday, Jeremy Lamb, and 2023 second-round draft pick used for Jordan Walsh. When the Kings and Pacers announced they were swapping Haliburton and Sabonis on deadline day back in 2022, fans of both franchise teams were equally shocked. Haliburton was supposed to be the future of the Kings, while Sabonis was the savvy veteran who had become a fan favorite in Indiana. It turns out this deal worked out for the best of everyone involved. Since coming over to Indiana, Tyrese Haliburton has taken his play to another level, with elite playmaking and shooting taking center stage. In 2023 and 2024, Haliburton would earn All-Star honors, and has the Pacers gone to Eastern Conference Finals in 2024 as well. The Kings paired Sabonis with star guard De'Aaron Fox to break their 17-year playoff curse, while Sabonis led the NBA in rebounds and earned All-Star and All-NBA team honors in first full year. Since joining the Kings, Sabonis had cemented himself as the third best center in the NBA, averaging 19.5 points, 13.1 rebounds and 7.4 assists per game. This deal may go down as the most even trade in NBA history when all is said and done. Number 3 goes to James Harden and his trade from Brooklyn Nets to Philadelphia 76ers. Sixers received also Paul Millsap in that deal, whereas Nets got Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, Ben Simmons and pick in 2023 draft, which was used later by Nets to get Royce O'Neal. As the trade deadline loomed on February 10, 2022, all eyes were on the Brooklyn Nets, the Philadelphia 76ers and disgruntled Nets star James Harden. In the days leading up to the deadline, it was no secret that Harden had enough of Brooklyn and the 76ers were his preferred destination. The deal was made with just hours to spare, as Philadelphia not only acquired Harden, but got rid themselves of their own disgruntled former number 1 overall pick, Ben Simmons. It was a new slate for everyone involved, and the buzz about the pairing of Harden with Joel Embiid in Philadelphia even prompted comparisons to Shaq and Kobe with the Lakers. Well, only by Kendrick Perkins, but I think you get the point. Harden would spend the next 79 games with the 76ers, winning an assist title in 2023 and watching his teammate Joel Embiid win the MVP award as well. However, an epic collapse in the NBA playoffs and failed contract negotiations prompted yet another Harden trade request, which led to his trade to the Clippers in the early going of 2024 season. Number 2 on the list is Kyrie Irving and his trade from Brooklyn Nets to Dallas Mavericks. Mavericks received him and Markieff Morris. Nets in exchange got Spencer Dinwiddie, Dorian Finney-Smith and 2 picks in 2029. They already traded both of those guys away. They have now D'Angelo Russell and multiple future draft picks instead. Leading up to the trade deadline in 2023, it was clear that Kyrie Irving and Nets upper management were at an impasse about the star point guard's future. The Nets had received consistent backlash due to Irving's actions both on and off the court, while Irving showed zero interest in remaining in Brooklyn. 3 days before the deadline, Irving joined Luka Doncic in the backcourt for Dallas, while Brooklyn kicked off their rebuild that promoted the Kevin Durant trade just days later. Since arriving in Dallas, Irving has re-signed with the team through 2025 with a $43 million player option for 2026. After missing the playoffs in 2023, the duo of Irving and Doncic have gotten Dallas out to the NBA Finals in 2024. And finally, number 1 is also a trade from Brooklyn Nets to somewhere else, and this time, this is Kevin Durant. Not only this trade contains the biggest star, but also was a biggest deal. 4 teams were involved: Phoenix Suns, Brooklyn Nets, Indiana Pacers and Milwaukee Bucks. The list of people that were moved is too big, so I am just presenting it on the screen. You can see names like Durant, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson, Serge Ibaka, many future draft picks. New Phoenix Suns owner Matt Ishbia would make his presence known right away with the franchise. Diving right in and trading for superstar Kevin Durant from the Brooklyn Nets, the move was immediately tapped as the biggest blockbuster ever completed at the trade deadline, and with a good reason. The move officially declared the Big Three era dead in Brooklyn, as the Nets had rid themselves of all 3 of Durant, Kyrie Irving and James Harden in the span of a year. Durant was the last to go, heading back west after spending 2.5 seasons with the Nets on the East Coast. In Phoenix, the buzz was tremendous with the acquisition of Durant, forming a Big Four with Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton and Chris Paul. Since his arrival with the Suns, Durant is averaging around 27 points per game on 53, 42 and 85 shooting splits. After failing to get out of the second round of the playoffs in 2023, the Suns hoped a new Big Three of Durant, Booker and Bradley Beal can take them further, but in 2024 they were swept by Minnesota Timberwolves in the first round and now are on the brink of the play-in tournament. Okay, that's it for today. As always, thanks for watching and I see you next time. Bye!